Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Putra Aiman Aswa binti Rosli. So today my group and I will explain about concrete, the root problem of the concrete and how to prevent or solve the problem of the concrete. So first, my group members are Tio Weshen Putra Aiman Aswa binti Rosli, Nur Efni Elina binti Muhammad Nasir, Raihana binti Muhammad Sharif, Siti Fatimah Zuhra binti Ahmad Murshidi. Okay, next. Concrete is a composite material made by mixing binding material, which is cement or lime, with aggregate, which is sand, gravel, stone, brick, chips, and etc., water, admixture, and other ingredients in precise quantity. The mixing proportion determine the strength and quality of the concrete. Okay. The formula for producing concrete from its ingredient can be presented in this equation, which is concrete equal to binding material plus fine and coarse aggregate plus water and admixture. Okay. Concrete is the first choice of the civil engineering industry because it is most commonly used material that is readily available and cheap, while it has some good properties such as excellent durability, moldability, and the ability to be produced with industrial byproduct while using less energy. Okay, the main factors that affect the failure of the concrete structure are incorrect selection of materials, error in design calculation and detailing, improper construction techniques, and insufficient quality control and supervision. Chemical effects on concrete structure, and lastly, external mechanical factor.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Rahana and I will present for methodology. Basically, this project is concerned with the cause of the concrete problems and how to prevent the concrete problems. Even though concrete can offer many benefits, nowadays it is not always perfect. Improper processes and maintenance, as well as the weather also, can cause a few common concrete problems that can affect the durability. With the problems, they also have the solutions. With the problem about the concrete problems and to achieve the outcomes of this project, we will focus on the methods of the data collection that we use to receive the most suitable information for this study. So, we decide to conduct a survey through a questionnaire by using an online platform which is Google Form, and we will blast it to the community through online. So, we target for each team member will survey at least 8 respondents to obtain the good results. This will make a sample size of around 40 respondents. The data is regarding the common problems faced in their concrete houses, and in this survey, we ask the location of the concrete problems, the type of concrete problem that they usually face, such as cracking, creasing, blistering, delamination, dusting, curling, and scaling. We also insert the posters with a description to help the respondents know what type of concrete problems they face. We use a clear and simple language in order to keep the question short. From the data collected, we will make a 30 minutes videos and post it to the YouTube to educate them on the root cause of the problems and how to prevent all the problems that the concrete cause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Elina binti Muhammad Nasir. So for my part of civil material project is data and analysis. And this data and analysis is based on the Google Form survey that had been blessed a few weeks ago. So based on the survey, we had 47 respondents for the Google Form. And in the Google form, we have 3 questions for the respondent to answer about the concrete problem. For the question 1 is familiar or not with the concrete problem, and we get 6 out of 47 respondents that did not familiar with the concrete problem, and another 41 out of 47 respondent is familiar with the concrete problem. And for the question 2 is where is the location of the concrete problem? So we give five types of the location, which are the bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen, and also the front yard. So we look at the pie chart here. The most taken location for the concrete problem is bedroom, with 23 respondents that had been chose this location, and we followed by bathroom with 22, the living room 21, kitchen 18, and the least selected location for this concrete problem is front yard, which is 1. For the third question is what types of the concrete problem that have you faced in their area. So we give the types of the concrete problems, which are crackings, grazing, blistering, delamination, dusting, curling, and also scaling. So according to the bar chart here, the most chosen concrete problems is the cracking, and followed by the dusting and also blistering. And at this bar chart also we can conclude that the least chosen concrete problems is the curling.
So the next part is the discussion. For the first cause of the problem of the concrete is the cracking. The most common problem of concrete that communities face is cracking. Cracked concrete is usually visible as a sign of distress in concrete. Cracking, when deformation occurs in concrete due to a few factors such as uneven loads, freezing, and change in temperature. Crack occur due to chemical reactions after hardening. During hardening, it shrinks for a piece of concrete in the open air. It shrinks or contracts as it occurs, so when placed, it fills a certain space, and then as it hardens, it gets a little bit smaller. This happens due to the evaporation of the part of the water that is contained in concrete. When shrinkage, forces become greater than the strength of concrete. Cracking will occur. Cracks in concrete will harm people and things surrounding them. It can grow over time, and concrete cracks are not attractive at all. So, the main reason of concrete cracks are as below. The first one is rapid drying of concrete. The concrete strength can be compromised and end up cracks if water evaporates too fast. Concrete becomes soft when it dries. It will be an unstable condition and weak state, which can lead to reduced compressive strength and durability. It is widely accepted that to cure correctly, concrete requires sufficient moisture, which can be added in a number of ways. The top of the concrete dries faster than the bottom due to hot weather and will lead to shrink at the top while the bottom does not. The amount of water required to be added in the mixture to complete the chemical reaction of hydration. It will crack if the concrete dries before the reaction completes. The next part is excess water in water-concrete mixture. When an excess of water is added to the concrete, increasing it with the ratio, the strength of concrete also will reduce. And to achieve the maximum strength, concrete does not require so much water, but in resident state, concretes need too much water to make the concrete easier to install. The next part is the lack of control joint. In the concrete slab, control joints with the wrong dimension of thickness cause cracking also. And the last one is freezing and thawing. When the excess amount of water freezes in the water, the volume will expand and cracking will occur.
Okay, next, blistering. Blistering is the formation of hollow bumps of different size of concrete surface due to the trapped air under the finished concrete surface. When the surface becomes prematurely sealed as it dries, it causes bleed water and bubbles of air that get trapped. Concrete blisters are not easily repaired after the concrete hardens. Bubbles of entrapped air move through the concrete are unable to escape the surface. It will result in hidden voids of air if the air is sealed too early during finishing. After the concrete has cured, they will break open frequently under the weight of traffic. Blistering like to form if bleed water evaporation occurs and finishing operation. The subgrade is cooler than the concrete slab is thick, and a dry shade is prematurely applied.
My name is Fatima. I will continue with causes of concrete problem, which is dusting. So dusting is chunking in the formation of the fine and loose powdered concrete on the hardened concrete by disintegration. So when the hardened concrete, when the concrete moves, the powders are released. And when the surface of the concrete is not strong enough, the dust will occur, and a porous surface is weak and fragile, and it return can lead to be more dusting. So concrete dusting caused by a weak surface, it is powdering under traffic. While powder transferring from the concrete, it can even be stretched easily with a nail or maybe something else. Finishing while bleed water going on ability to let the bleed water come through and not tapping it. It happens due to the presence of excess amounts of water in concrete. These fine particles like cement will rise to the top and cause dust at the top of surface. We move into the another cause of concrete problem, which is delamination. So delamination is also similar to blistering. The top of the surface of concrete that gets separated from underlying concrete, it creates an unbound concrete layer between there and the slab body. So the hardening of the top of layer of concrete before the hardening of underlying concrete will lead to delamination. So delamination is a critical failure mechanism in laminated fiber reinforced polymer matrix composites. As concrete hardens, subsurface voids develop where the water is trapped, and then the water and the air bleeding from underlying concrete are stuck between two surfaces, forming a space. So a separation along a plane parallel to a surface is also the definition of delamination, as in the separation of a coating from a substrate. So we move into scaling. So scaling is defined as a general loss of surface mortar or mortar surrounding the coarse aggregate particles on a concrete surface. It is the peeling of a finished surface of hardened concrete as a result of exposure to cycles of freezing and thawing. It starts with a small patch and extends to larger areas and sizable patches if not repaired on time. So when concrete is saturated with water and temperature approaches freezing. Air entering concrete contains millions of small air bubbles that accommodate the expanding water and ice. So there are few causes of scaling. So first, use of low strength concrete or high water cement ratio, and then the use of little intertrain air leads to a poor air void system in the harder concrete, and then improper finishing process and lack of adequate concrete protection after its placement. So another causes of concrete problem, which is crazing. So what is crazing? Crazing is the formation of closely spaced shallow cracks in an even manner, or the development of a network of fine random cracks. It is caused by shrinkage of the surface layer and rapid hardening of the top surface of concrete due to high temperatures. So it is common when the surface is exposed to low humidity, sun, and high temperature. The irregular external areas enclosed by the cracks are typically no more than 40 mm across and maybe be as small as 20 mm. So for the causes of concrete crazing, first, improper curing. So it leads to reduced compressive strength development and increased drying shrinkage. Second, intermittent curing. So it is include wet curing and drying. It allows the surface of concrete to dry for time being and leads to concrete crazing. And the last one, inappropriate finishing, and it also called as bad finishing. So inappropriate finishing means that finishing but there is still bleed water on the surface, or a surface that has so much water on it. So for the last point for causes of concrete problem, which is curling. So curling concrete is about the upward or downward bending of the edges of concrete. So curling usually begins on horizontal surfaces, wrapping on the vertical surfaces. It is due to the moisture and temperature differences from one surface to the next, causing some thermal movement. So the difference in temperature between the top and the bottom of the slab can cause curling. It means that the top exposed to the sun, which is in high temperature, and will expand relative to the bottom part, which is cooler, leading to downward curling of the edges. And while during the night the top cools and coarsening, a warmer subgrade will lead to upward curling. So there's a few causes problem for curling, which is first, level changes between slabs. It will affect the passage of vehicle, especially small and hard wheels. A second, breaks of the slab. It literally flew on the base of the pavement when it applied loads on the edges. And the last one is worsening of the flatness. It must measure in the first hours or days after the execution. Then later, curling can make activity that flow was executed limited or impossible.
Hi, my name is Wilson. Now I will continue the part discussion of the way to solve or prevent the problem affecting on the concrete. After we done the research, we know that the cracking is one of the problems so many people are facing. How can we prevent the cracking? One of the ways is subgrade must be fully compacted. Soil compactor is the act of the squeezing out as much air and moisture as possible to pull the solid soil particles together. They make the soil more denser, and typically the higher the soil density, the higher the bearing capacity. Besides that, low water cement ratio is also one of the ways to prevent the cracking. The low water cement ratio can improve the behavior of the concrete. For example, using the mineral admixture. Mineral admixture can measure more economical, reduce the permanent- permanently increase the strength and influence of other concrete property. The second problem is the pledges. The problem can be solved by doing the proper cooling. The cooling will prevent the loss of the moisture in the concrete and help in the hydration process of the concrete. Besides that, use the workability enhance and entire concrete with the moderator sum. Air and entrainment reduce rate of the bleeding in the fresh concrete and reduce the layering of the ridges and the never stacking dry concrete. Air dry cement of the mixture of the cement and the fine sand on the surface of the plastic concrete to prevent the apparatus of the ridges. The next one is the blistering problem. To prevent the blistering happen on the concrete is not seals of the surface before air and brings the water have escaped from the cement below. In the cool weather, we use the accelerating mixture or heating the concrete frequently prevent the blister formation and promote the even setting throughout the slab dip. Other than that is the delamination problem. Delamination surface can be repaired by the patching after the surface layer is removed, and the underlying concrete is proper cleaning. The way to prevent the delamination is when finished and checking if the concrete is air and tidying and not seals the concrete surface early. The next problem are facing is the dusting. The most common way to reduce concrete dusting is with using the sealer. The sealer are easy to apply, cost-effective, and will not change the look, color, or surface characteristics of the concrete. Besides that, to prevent the dusting, do not carry out the finish operator with the existing water on the surface and provide the effective cooling. The next problem are the facing is the scaling. The way to prevent the scaling concrete is design the concrete mix properly, use the appropriate water cement ratio, and well grade of the aggregate. Other than that, prevent the addition of the water when concrete is throwing or floating permanently. The one of the important way is cleaning the concrete slab surface and apply a suitable waterproofing system. In addition, prevent the vibrating scrape for high sand concrete as it creates a weak layer of the concrete surface. Thank you.
So ways to prevent the concrete problems is the curling. So the primary factor that result in concrete curling are shrinkage, temperature variation, moisture content of the soil, and also the quality of the construction. There are four critical practice to prevent this concrete problem, which is curling. The first one, prevent drying shrinkage, which drying shrinkage can be prevented by using the lowest effective water content for the concrete mix by using the largest possible size coarse aggregate. The second one, for the critical practice is thickness of the concrete slab, and this is recommended to design a thicker slab to prevent the curling. If not, provide an increased thickness at the edges. The third one is prevent the bleeding. All preventative measures to avoid excessive bleeding need to practice in the construction. Bleeding also can be avoided by placing the concrete on the surface that is damp or absorptive. And this is also will prevent the bleed water from coming on the top of the concrete. And the last critical practice to prevent the curling concrete problem is proper steel reinforcement. Uh, when properly designed and placed, steel reinforcement will help to prevent the curling to some extent. If any load transferring devices used to prevent the vertical movement is placed across the direction of construction's jobs.
To summarize, concrete is the best material for home building since it's highly durable, can be manufactured with less energy, is easily accessible and inexpensive. However, uh, concrete will degrade with time if homeowners are unaware of the factors that affect the failure of the concrete structures. It will cause concrete problems such as cracking, blistering, dusting, delamination, scaling, crazing, and curling. As a result, it is important to everyone to understand the scope of the problem and how to prevent or solve it. Thank you.